To start this session off, let me invite Mr. Karan Patel, ICS 14 organizer, to deliver the welcome speech.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I, Karan Patel, organizer ICS 14, and my entire team extend our warmest welcome to all of you. It is a pleasure to host one of the biggest, if not the biggest, engineering symposium of the year, ICS 14. I welcome our Chancellor, Dr. G. Vishwanathan, our Pro-Vice Chancellor, Director Student Welfare, and Dean SMBS. I extend my warm welcome to our guests, Dr. Swarna Subbarao, Mr. Vishnu Shankar Prasad, and Mr. Jai Prakash Gandhi for taking time out of their busy schedules. Last but not the least, I welcome all faculties, external participants, and my fellow students. Thank you.
Thank you, Karan. May I now invite Mr. Vishal Shah, ICS 14 organizer, to give us a brief introduction about ICS 2014.
Good morning, one and all. First of all, I would like to extend my heartiest welcome to all the delegates, professors, external students, and my fellow mates. It gives me immense pleasure to have all of you with us here today. We are extremely proud to host such a wonderful gathering over the next 3 days, where you will witness some of the most creative and fascinating aspects of civil engineering. In ICES 2014, we have 5 guest lectures by eminent personalities from the field of civil engineering who will edify this assemblage with their wise words. We have 10 workshops which will be conducted by renowned professionals in their field, covering various areas like bridge design and fabrication, construction surveying, geotechnical engineering, and water resources. We are also having a mock drill by the National Disaster Response Force as a part of our disaster management and preparedness workshop, taking classroom learning to a whole new level. Simply knowing is not enough, we must apply. And willing is not enough, we must do. And for that, we have model exhibition, where we are displaying some of the most creative and mind-blowing replicas of engineering marvels that our participants have prepared. Great minds discuss ideas, average minds discuss events, and small minds discuss people. And to discuss these great ideas, we have oral as well as poster presentations from all over the Indian subcontinent. We also have numerous events, namely Flight Deck, Zenith, and Quantity Takeoff, where the participants get a chance to showcase their skills and expertise in concrete, AutoCAD, and quantity surveying. One of our premier events is the United Civil Engineering Summit, which is an adaptation of the MUN proceedings instead with technical situations related to civil engineering. With all the effort put in by the faculty and the students of the Civil Engineering Department at VIT University, we believe that ICES 2014 will definitely carve a niche. I hope that all of you will thoroughly enjoy being part of this symposium and have a great experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Vishal. Now, I'd like to invite our Honorable Chancellor, Sir, Dr. G. Vishwanathan, to deliver the presidential address.
Our chief guest, Dr. Subbarao from the Survey General of India, our guest of honor, Mr. Jai Prakash Gandhi, and Mr. Vishnu Shankar Prasad, the organizers of this conference, delegates from various parts of India, professors, and other distinguished invitees. Very good morning to you. It's a very important conference, being going to discuss all the aspects of engineering, particularly civil engineering. There was a period when there was a boom to begin with in civil engineering. Then there was a period of depression. In fact, many colleges closed down civil engineering branches. We were not a university at the time, but I thought that being a core engineering subject, we should not lose civil engineering. We reduced the intake, but civil engineering continued. but again, the boom period has come. I think now there is more demand for civil engineering. Being a developing country and a fast developing country, civil engineering has its own importance. We want very good infrastructure if we want our economy to grow. We are the third largest economy in Asia, probably ninth largest economy of the world. And we want to compete to the best of nations in growth. And always our neighbor is there to compete with us, China. They have been growing almost 9 to 10% a year, their growth rate. And our growth started in 1991 after the new economic policy. Till that time it was 3 to 4% growth, what they used to call it Hindu rate of growth. Now it started growing from 5 to 6, 7, 8, up to 9%, sometimes crossing 9% as well. That requires a good infrastructure, and a good infrastructure means the importance to civil engineers. I think there is an estimate that in the next 10 years we may require about 40 lakhs of civil engineers and more planners and more architects, more than 4 lakhs of architects. We require good civil engineering courses offering quality education, and only then we will be able to put all our resources to use. India is a rich country. We have all the minerals, metals, of course, including human resources. But still, many things we are going on for import. Take for example, we have an energy problem. Most of our energy has to come from coal. Almost 70% of the energy is produced from coal. And according to estimates, we have enough coal in this country lasting for hundreds of years, but all our import, all our supply, most of our supply come from Indonesia and Australia. I don't know why we are unable to dig it out, to take out the coal available in India and use it. I want the civil engineers to be active in helping the government and the private parties, etc. We were told that it's going to be done within 2 years. The government was in a hurry to give contracts to various companies. Only contracts were given. The contractors have sold it to some other people, made money and went away. Coal was never digged out. Coal never came out. And still the import is increasing year after year. And I want both the civil engineers, mechanical engineers and others to put their heads together and see that enough infrastructure is created. Of course, we require more investments. We cannot depend upon only the foreign investment. Of course, it has to come in some way or other, but we have enough capital within the country. People are afraid to take it out because we are used to hiding many things from accounts. That has become a habit in this country. And I want at least the professionals to come out of this. We are always afraid of showing everything into account, and we are afraid of paying tax. Probably in tax evasion we are world's number 1. And I want professionals like doctors, engineers, chartered accountants. Of course, they are responsible for many things. I can't blame them alone. Of course, we hire them. If we take a decision that all of us will be transparent, including those who occupy the government, this country can become a great country. We have so much potential in our country, especially in science and technology. And I always lament that why should we export our raw materials when we have enough technology, technical people, capital available? Why should we export our iron ore and import steel? Why are we still importing all the defense equipments from outside? I want our engineers to think about these things, discuss about these things, and advise the government and the public how to go about Indira Gandhi was always talking about import substitution. I remember when I was in Parliament for 10 years, she was the Prime Minister. She was always harping on import substitution. People have forgotten that afterwards. I am not totally against a ban on import, etc., but wherever it is necessary, wherever it is not possible for us to make, then let us get it from outside. Otherwise, making our roads, our bridges, dams, everything can be done by us, and you are there to take care of them. And the money which is lying inside, unaccounted money, should be brought out and utilized for these purposes. If we are going to spend 10% of the GDP on infrastructure, we will be able to grow 9 to 10% in a year. That's what we want, and I hope it will be able to achieve it in the future. And this conference is going to discuss many aspects, and we have very good guests today. From the Survey General of India has come, from the Indian Road Congress, Mr. Prasad has come, and Mr. Jayaprakash Gandhi is well versed in all topics. I don't know what he is going to talk today. He can talk on any subject under the sun in engineering. So he's a great motivator. I would thank the organizers for giving this opportunity. I would like to thank our guest of honor and the chief guest for having accepted the invitation to be here this morning. Thank you.
Thank you for the valuable input, sir. Now, I'd like to invite our Chancellor, sir, and all the guests to release the ICS 14 CD. Thank you all. Now, let me call upon to the stage Mr. Mayank Khurana, organizer of ICS 2014, to welcome introduce the guest of honor, Mr. Jayaprakash Gandhi.
A very good morning to everyone. Our guest of honor today, Mr. Jayaprakash A. Gandhi, is presently a career consultant. He did his BTech and MTech from Anna University, Chennai with a gold medal. He also obtained a postgraduate diploma in computer applications from NIIT Chennai. He has conducted career guidance programs for more than 3,000 schools and colleges all over India, and has conducted more than 1,000 placement training programs across the country, including many top institutions such as IIMs and IITs. He is a correspondent and advisor to McGinn's OT School of Architecture. He is also the director of Lewis Matriculation School, Salem. He has won many notable awards like Independence Day Award from the Government of Tamil Nadu, Vocational Excellence Award from Rotary Club, Pinnacle Education Award, and many more. Without any more delay, I'd like to invite our respected guest of honor to address the House. Welcome.
Good morning, friends. Sorry, I never speak over the podium. Maybe I'll tell you the reason why I come for the later part of the session. Respect to my good friend Chancellor, other dignitaries and friends. And as my friend Krishna Answer said, what JP Gandhi is going to speak in the International Government of Civil. No, I'm not a civil engineer, but definitely I can talk about the career prospects of civil, which I'll postpone to the later part of the program. And my dear friends, as Chancellor has very rightly said, because we do analyze a lot of things and tell students, the problem with present part of the students is most of you all decide a career looking at the present or the past. I suggest a career looking at the future. You should choose a career looking at the future. I never believe somebody comes and says, I'm interested in this. And I always believe the human brain keeps changing. A person who is successful he should look for an opportunity and growth in particular area of his specialization. He becomes very successful. Rightly put across, my dear friends, the next 5-year planning, and in fact we analyzed 72 developing countries. 5 areas are going to create huge number of jobs across the globe. Infrastructure, medical sciences, energy and power, IT enabled and agriculture. So infrastructure comes under civil. So definitely these 5 areas, the next 10 years goal is going to have a tremendous opportunity. And as he always says, I'm a good motivational speaker, but I also like to say a few things about that. My dear friends, being a civil engineer, the first foremost quality is observation you need to have. A civil engineer should have tremendous observation. Maybe I had a great opportunity, somebody displaying. In fact, I was chief guest in Ramchandra Medical University. I was sitting, the chancellor, everybody, and it was a function for students completing degree and going for house surgery. Not actually graduation ceremony, it is house surgeon ceremony. And the dean was presenting a welcome address. I was very surprised, you know what he did. After addressing, he said the student should have tremendous observation whether you're an engineer or medical profession. He said that you're going to finish your college life and going to enter a work life. He took a mineral water, kept it on the podium, then he took a glass, empty glass, poured the mineral water there, and said the college life is like this beautiful, lovely taste of water. And he drank. You know what he did next? He took another bottle, it was gutter water, totally blackened. I don't know where he picked up. He poured that water in a glass and said, when you come for the life, work life, it will be like this. And you know what he did? He put a finger and licked it. I was shocked. You know what happened after that? After this, he said, can any student come and do perform what I did? You know, in every college there will be one person. Yes, sir, I can do that. One person came. He said, he washed the glass because it was ready, that water. Poured it in the lake. Then he poured the mineral water and drank. He said, sir, what you say is right. The college life is wonderful, very tasteful. Next, he took the remaining part of the gutter water and put it in a glass, put his finger and licked it. He vomited. You know what the dean said? My dear friend, I inserted this finger and licked the other finger during that. Even I did that. At that time, you that observation, you know how he proved to a medical profession? Tremendous. Now, we should be very careful. Now, observation is one of the most skills you need to learn. I'm going to talk about the tremendous opportunity and also to motivate the next 30 minutes when my session starts. Thanks for the great opportunity. All the best. God bless you.
Thank you, sir. Now I invite Mr. Henil Shah, organizer ICS 14, to introduce our guest of honor, Mr. Vishnu Shankar Prasad.
A very good morning to all. Shri Vishnu Shankar Prasad is a 1985 batch officer of Central Engineering Services, Roads. He has a background of civil engineering, administrative law and management. He has served in various capacities in the Ministry of Steel, Department Northeast Region, Ministry of HRD, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, and Ministry of Home Affairs. He had held the position of Region Development Commissioner for Iron and Steel, Director in Ministries, PS to Ministers, Chief General Manager in NHAI, Chief Engineer in Ministry of Road Transport and Highway, and Director, Indian Academy of Highway Engineers. He had successfully handled a number of important schemes and projects for the government. With his wide exposure and experience now, he is spearheading IRC as its General Secretary since August 2012. Sir, I would like to thank you for honoring us with your presence. I request you to address the gathering in a few words.
A very good morning to all dignitaries on the dais, dear friends, students of engineering, media, friends, ladies and gentlemen. It is my privilege to be here amongst the gathering of experts in civil engineering as well as students studying in the civil engineering and making their career in civil engineering. Civil engineering is the mother of all engineering. Every engineering branch emerges from there. And India has been the pioneer in civil engineering. This has been evident from the excavation from Indus Valley civilization. The importance of civil engineering had been there, is there, and will be there. It is the only green or evergreen engineering branch which will be required by the humankind to survive, to prosper. Civil engineers are basically to spread civilization. Give a thought about it. Without civil engineering support, no engineering, no other segment of economy can survive. When we talk about the developed nation, what they have got? What they have got better than the developing nations or underdeveloped nations? The civil engineering facilities, the buildings, the roads, the communication network, timely supply of all needs. The physical needs can be supplied only if the civil engineering facilities are in place. So we feel proud to be a civil engineer. There has been a trend since about 20 years. The students have undertaken civil engineering, migrated to other branches. And more importantly, information technology, including some of my batchmates. Even after practicing civil engineering for 10 years, they shifted. But now they are realizing that their shifting was not correct. One of my friends, he is running a very big IT company. But now he is crying that his office is facing problem because of traffic congestion. His employees are not able to come in time. And so he is giving option to work from the houses. From houses you can work, you can purchase on web. But what about physical delivery of any goods and material? You require roads. You require road transport. You require railways. All this comes under the civil engineering purview. The water supply is one of the basic need of the humankind. We have great stalwarts in Dr. Vishwesvaraya, who created the dam in a place which was earth prone, to the earth prone, heavy earth prones. It is surviving. It only established one thing, that Indian mind is better than what the world thinks. Feel confidence in yourself, feel faith in yourself. You are not less than anyone in the world. Then comes the issue of interlinkages between civil engineering and other stream of engineering. Today, civil engineers can command, I am using the word can command, a number of other segments which were not earlier considered to be under the purview of civil engineering. And that is the material conservation, the waste management, the environmental protection. These are the areas for which specialized Western thinking has been propagated in a manner by which they commanded over the underdeveloped or developing nations. But as a civil engineer, you have the solution to all these issues. We have been the first in the world, about few months back, to issue the guidelines for using waste plastic in road construction. Few years back, there was an issue of closing down the polythene bag manufacturer units, which is creating unemployment of about 50 lakh families. But civil engineer associated with Indian Road Congress rose to the occasion. They worked out the mechanism of using the plastic waste, polythene waste in road construction. This is just an example of waste management by civil engineers. Few more things which are being worked out is using the municipal waste, the construction waste, and development of green concrete in the road sector. This I am quoting only to indicate the areas which will be available for civil engineers in future, in years to come. Do not get disturbed by the views and guidance on the short-term basis. The requirement of civil engineers will be very high in our country. The reason being that whatever physical asset